What are your emotions after getting back into the win column?
Yeah, it was obviously absolutely crucial that we did so today. I didn't want to paint it as too definitive before the game, but I think if we were to give ourselves a real chance of going on and competing in the second phase of this competition, we had to win tonight. And I think having done so, we've given ourselves a really good platform, and it puts an end to what has been a really difficult period. And I will say, I think on that period, it's been very difficult, I think, to keep everyone's focus and level of realism where it really needs to be, because I think the longer that run went on, the less in sharp focus it was that we'd actually been through an incredibly difficult period that I'm not sure there'll be many MLS teams that have lived that in recent years, with the number of players we lost and the sort of oddities of some of the situations we found ourselves in. So I'm really pleased we're back on track, and I think aside from the fact we haven't picked up the points that we wanted to pick up, we've done a very good job as a group of people, staff and players included, of staying positive and staying constructive. And I know it's a period that I'll take a lot from as I move forward in my coaching career, and I think hopefully it's something that stands us in good stead as the season goes on. So hopefully we've drawn a bit of a line today.
Obviously, the change with taking off Alejandro and moving Rob into central midfield was instrumental. What did you not see in the first 30 minutes that prompted the change?
Yeah, I can't put it any other way than to say we were really poor in the first half an hour, uncharacteristically so, just in terms of the basics, the giveaways, the turnovers, was certainly not the team that we want to be. So that weighed in the change that we made, but also I was very conscious of the fact that Alejandro had been booked, didn't want to risk us having to play that game with 10 men, and I think it was probably a decision that was justified, and obviously something that was certainly not personal in any way.
What does Robin bring to the team when he's playing in midfield rather than as a forward?
Yeah, it's been a tough balance to strike when we've been short of midfield players, particularly since we've lost Will Trapp. We obviously want Robin close to the front where he's very good and one of the best creative players certainly in our division. But I think he gives you more continuity on the ball. He gives you more, I suppose, precision, clean ways of getting out from the back that maybe we lack if he's not there. So I think it was an important change and certainly gave us a foothold on the ball.
Can you talk about when Fragapane comes in, putting him on the right and leaving Tani on the left and Bongi on the left? Excuse me.
Yeah. So I think you'll know it wouldn't have escaped anyone's attention. Bongi turned the ball over an awful lot on his side in the first half. He's obviously he's more comfortable playing from the right than he is playing from the left. So we felt the need to give him the best chance to turn more cleanly, not give the ball away between the lines, which has certainly been a problem and something that we're working on with him. And I'm sure he'll be the first to admit that he needs to be cleaner in the pocket and not turn the ball over so cheaply. So it's something we really want to push with him. But what you have had with Bongi over the course of the last month is real conviction and some moments of killer instinct, and he's back amongst the goals and influence on games. So he's definitely taken some steps forward in that sense, but we're also going to really try and work on him in that sense.
You talked about kind of players losing focus during the almost 50 days without a win. What did you feel like you tried to do to kind of re-emphasize and focus on trying to get results?
I think what's been difficult is, amidst everything we've ground through, I suppose, it's almost been forgotten what a good team we were pre that international break. And I've said it to the players at the end in there that we are a team at our best that can really compete and push the top teams in the league here. We were very good against Salt Lake, beat LA, very good against LA Galaxy, and I know on our day we are a match for anyone in this division, and I was very keen to impress that upon the players, that we have, for everything that we've lived, almost forgotten that. And I think there's nothing more that puts that into perspective more clearly than that first 25 minutes tonight. So we will look a different team when we come back from the Leagues Cup. Of course, we'll have some reinforcements in. I'm keen for it to feel very different, and I know that we've got a good chance of going on the run that we need to.
Songbin Jong was involved with both goals, but probably won't end up on the score line at all. Can you talk about his contributions this game?
Yeah, Sangbin is, again, almost reluctantly playing at wing-back for us, because that's certainly not where he wants to play, but I do think he's got some real attributes that mean in the long run that is definitely a slot that he can play for us really, really well. And it's a work in progress, so you'll see with Sangbin over the course of 10 games, you'll see a lot of ups and downs, of course, because he's learning the position. But in terms of raw attributes, he can do it really, really well. And I've said on a number of occasions here, Sangbin is a real team player, someone that gives us absolutely everything. And I think that was very plain for everyone to see that he's done the same tonight.
Coach, importante victoria, se logran los 3 puntos. ¿Cómo lograr que el equipo mantenga ese ritmo de juego durante los 90 minutos? Rosales dio un gran partido por las laterales, Sam Bin-Yong por el otro lado. ¿Qué hacer para que el equipo se mantenga igual en los siguientes partidos?
Sí, como he dicho, es muy importante recordar al equipo que somos un muy buen equipo que puede dominar los mejores equipos aquí sin problema. Y ahora, con un poco de tiempo entre ese periodo y cuando regresamos después de la Leagues Cup, vamos a ser un equipo diferente que podemos dominar para largos periodos como antes de todos los problemas que hemos experimentado recientemente, y es un trabajo para nosotros, el staff, reencontrar ese sentimiento de superioridad en los partidos, porque tenemos buenos jugadores y tenemos posibilidades de competir al top nivel en el MLS, pero por diversas razones en las semanas recientes ha sido muy difícil, pero ahora como un grupo estamos en una buena posición y vamos a pelear para los playoffs.
Eric, it looked like Fraga and Alejandro were upset by coming off. How do you deal with players that might feel like they got short shifts?
Yeah, I think there's two things to consider. One is, I think, since the rule change and the number of subs that you can make in the last couple of years, being 5, I've said from day one here that it is certainly not an insult to be taken off in the first half, at half time, or early in the second half. And obviously those two will be frustrated for sure, but I've impressed upon the group that is not something that is at all personal. It is only with pragmatism and winning the game in mind, and I'm sure come Monday, Tuesday morning, then they'll see it a touch more objectively, maybe.
Without Kervin Arriaga, you maybe don't have a natural target for sort of long goal kicks. How do you go about replacing him and bringing that back into the offensive arsenal?
Yeah, obviously we are relatively direct from the goalkeeper, and when we are at our best to good effect, when we can win the first contacts or certainly compete, and we're really well positioned for the second balls. We've got the types of players that can really thrive in those moments, but that is certainly something that we've suffered around over the course of the last month or so for profile of player to an extent. So that will be a big work in progress, and it will be a work in progress in my time here. I've obviously come in relatively late in this season, and I've tried to work in as pragmatic a way as possible and play to the players' strengths. We've obviously got a certain set of characteristics across the front players that lends itself to a certain way of playing, but we want to, as I said early on in my time here, evolve to being a team that can find a nice balance between a couple of ways of playing, and at our best I know we can do that well, but we've really struggled over the course of the last month for obvious reasons in that sense.
What did you feel of Sam's debut?
Yes, so Sam showed real composure, and he can handle the ball really well, and you've seen he can really take the sting out of a game in that sense. I feel, as I've mentioned previously, we've got almost either or across the front players at the moment. We've got real athleticism, or we've got players that are much more comfortable playing between lines and playing in the pocket and playing short combinations with the 6s and the other 10 and the wing back on that side. And I think we've got to try and find a nice balance between being able to handle the ball, not turning the ball over so cheaply, but also still being able to attack directly and using the pace that we have at the top end of the pitch. So I think that's a work in progress, and I think once we get all the tools back that we've had, once we add to that front line, then we'll be able to do that a bit more strategically, I suppose, than we have in the last couple of months.
After giving up the late goals on Wednesday, what was emphasized defensively or playing to the whistle?
Yeah, we again had a tough video meeting on Friday ahead of this game, and it was very clear that we cannot be a team that competes for the playoffs and evolves to hopefully being one of the more competitive teams in this league if we're going to make such basic errors. And I did stress after that game that I'm definitely not a coach that I want to be more critical around players' intent as opposed to execution, but it was just fundamentally the case that we cannot execute defending moments around the box, on set plays, on clearances, as we did on Wednesday night. So the players are well aware of that. None of them were at all happy with Wednesday night, and I think over the course of this week we were good value for 7 points, and we find ourselves with 4, and that is solely based on that factor of the game. So it's something that we have to really work on, and the players need to be really held to account in that sense.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.